Greetings, dear viewer. It is Friday, the 17th of May 2024, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the road to For King and Country. So in case anybody is watching this and they don't know who For King and Country are, firstly, thanks for clicking on the video to check it out. But basically, they are a pop rock duo of brothers who were born in Australia, then relocated to America while they're young, so I guess you get away with calling them American Australian. But basically, they're more a pop duo, but they use like real instruments as opposed to like techno bleep bloops and stuff, so I like to consider them more pop rock. Now, this is the concert that I know the least about the bands that I'm going to see. Like, I've been to see, I think, loads of local gigs, like dozens and dozens and dozens, and probably 20 to 30 like big, full-on concerts at arenas and venues and stuff. And I've been to see bands that I didn't know much about first, like 21 Pilots and Wolf Alice, and then seeing them live made me really get into them. There are bands that I kind of liked casually, like Foo Fighters and the Chili Peppers, and then, again, kind of just really loved them after seeing them. But this duo, is the first time I'm seeing an artist or band that I know, like, very few of their songs. And in that case, there are two songs that I absolutely love by them, and those are Joy and Ceasefire. I can't remember quite when. It was probably about 2018 or 2019, maybe even later. But I remember my parents sent me through like a couple of songs that they recommended, and they were Joy and Ceasefire. I'm like, these are awesome. These are really cool songs. And so that kind of got me into at least those two songs. And then I never really listened to much more of them. I know my mother absolutely loves them and their Christmas album. My folks absolutely enjoy them. I did buy the Burn the Ships album because it was the only one I could get in New Zealand, and even then I think it was, if I recall, from Fishpond, so it was getting like imported in from overseas. But yeah, so this is going to be a new experience for me, going to see like a full-on concert when I don't know many of their songs, but no doubt by the end of the night I will have many new favourites. I've already looked at the set list for the evening, and they're doing Joy, but not Ceasefire, so, a little sad, but at the same time, you've got a good 4 or 5 albums worth of material and fans that like that material, and, you don't always get your favourite songs, which is absolutely fine. It is 4:30 p.m. I'm going to get changed and comb my hair because, oh my goodness, I only just noticed that. It's very cold outside because it's definitely heading into the winter months now. I should probably... Oh, actually, no, I might bring this with me just in case I can get it signed, because I will never get over the fact that I bumped into Brandon Flowers from The Killers and he signed my album, and that's just kind of what I do. So... normally, when I do a road to concert vlog, it's, getting on a bus or getting on a plane and, going up north to Auckland. But in this case, they're doing a proper tour around New Zealand, and they're doing 3 shows: Auckland, Wellington, and I believe Christchurch. So they're coming to me. They're coming to the capital city of Wellington, which is where I live. As you can see, I got plenty of tour posters around because I love live music and I love musicians and stuff. And hopefully this is going to be a shorter Road to video, because I tend to aim to make them about 15 to 20 minutes, and then they end up ballooning to be like 30 minutes because I include heaps of footage and stuff. But no, what I'm hoping for is just a nice, fun, chill evening. And honestly, I'm ready for them to blow me away, because I've seen some live clips of theirs, and like even performing in churches with thousands of people, and just like everyone's up and dancing, and it just looks like a really wholesome, fun time. So I'm gonna, like I said, get changed, get ready to go to the exclusive early Q&A thing, early entry. Alright, so explanation time while I wait for the doors to open. I can't remember if it was earlier this year, 2024, or late last year, but my parents let me know, like, hey, they're coming to New Zealand, and they're going to Wellington. And they weren't able to go because they had prior commitments, aka holiday, well deserved. It's been a crappy year so far for our family, but that's beside the point. So they said, hey, do you want us to shout you a ticket? Because, they were actually affordable, unlike a lot of ticket prices these days. And I was like, oh, awesome, thank you so much. And then I saw that for, like, basically twice the price, which, twice the price of an affordable ticket is still, you know, about the same as what you'd pay for like normal overpriced Ticketmaster tickets. You could go to an early entry VIP sort of thing. That's what it says, but basically it's early entry, and you get to do like a little Q&A. I'm like, oh, I have a good question that I'd like to ask them. So I got that ticket instead, and here we are. That's about all the context I can give. There's quite a few people standing outside. Well, like a good, you know, 2 or 3 dozen, which I think is pretty cool. So we'll go and have a look at the merch that I can't really afford, but you know, can't resist getting a band shirt. And then I guess we just wait. And then there's like a cool Q&A with the band. Might hopefully get some footage of that. Alright, I just realised I forgot to comb my hair after saying it out loud too. Inside, got the tour shirt, because much like the tickets, they're actually affordable. Not to throw shade at any recent concerts I've been to, but some of the prices for like not even major international acts was like, whoa, that's how much you're charging for merch. But no, these were very reasonable. And they've got a couple of CDs which I'm tempted to get, but I know that there's like deluxe editions of them, but they're not selling the CD I already have. So anyway, people are going in now. Time to do the Q&A. Okay, the Q&A is over, and it's pretty much just me and like 4 other people that are left here, because everyone else went out to grab like snacks and merch and whatever. But you know me, I'm already prepared, got my shirt. So I got to ask my question, which was awesome, and I'll talk about that later. But the highlight for me was probably afterwards. Because I had my CD in pen in hand, hoping to, you know, get to sign it, but they had to disappear real quick and, you know, go get ready and stuff. But the guy that was sitting off to the side, I'm not sure if it was their brother or a close friend, but it was part of their team, and he noticed my CD. He was like, hey, did you want to get that signed? I'm like, yes, please. So he took it for me and took it out back for them to sign. So I didn't get to speak to them personally, but it was still awesome. And yeah, so I'm just sitting here waiting for the show to start. I got a long time to wait, so I don't know, I might just play some Pokemon Go or something. Without further ado, For King and Country, live at the Michael Fowler Centre, Wellington 2024.
Been to a King Country show? I'm just curious. That's right. The few, the brave, the bold. Just the way that she's on us. Just the way that she's on us.
My goodness, what an awesome show. That was a lot of fun. And yes, Joy was the only song that I knew, which was the last song they played before the encore. So that was fun to sing along to. I was a bit worried when I headed out in my track pants and very warm jacket, because I'm like, oh, it's not as cold as I thought it would be. And it was a bit hot like in the auditorium, but now that I'm outside afterwards in the cold at about 10:30 p.m, yeah, I'm glad I've got the jacket. So I'm gonna go home, have a shower, do some recording, do some uploading, all that fun stuff, and I'll wrap it up tomorrow. I just about got taken out by an e-scooter. Or I go and hang out with some friends for like 2 hours and then lose track of time and realize that it's almost midnight, so I'm probably just gonna go home, have a shower and go to bed. Actually, real quick before I go to bed, here's the front of the tour shirt, and this is the back of the shirt. As you can see, the homecoming tour, homecoming because, you know, Australia, they're born in Australia, coming back to Australia, but they did New Zealand shows, unlike the majority of international artists.
Those folks who do that are missing out, because this is really we're just looking out, you know, we're singing together, and everybody's just smiling.
And just like that, it is Saturday. Before I talk about the concert itself, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Q&A. Surprisingly, like, I don't think everyone that bought a VIP Early Access ticket was there, because you look around, and I think the first 2, maybe 4 rows were, like, the VIPs, but there weren't, like, they weren't all full and stuff. But anyways, there were plenty of good questions. There were some families there with young kids, and they were asking questions, which I thought was pretty cool. You know, brave enough to put your hand up and ask your questions. Because yeah, it was just the brothers sitting on stage with their right hand man, just, you know, answering these questions. And some of the questions were pretty basic, but still, you know, interesting. Like, how did your band form? Where'd you get the name? What's your favorite song? And there were some other really cool, like, intricate ones, like, you know, what do you do with songs that you don't, you know, release straight away, or stuff like that. And my question was, back in 2020, they were, like, one of the first bands, or, like, the only band that I personally saw that were doing, like, live shows in, like, with COVID restrictions and stuff, and they did drive-in shows. So you literally you drive up, you sit in your car, and then they perform on a stage, and it's transmitted to your FM radio in the car, so it's perfectly safe. And I thought that was so cool, so I wanted to ask about that, and they appreciated it, because afterwards they were like, "Ah, good question." But before I did that, I thanked them very much for coming to Wellington, because, you know, we barely get any international artists here in Wellington. And when the actual show came around, one of the brothers, I can't remember which one, actually mentioned that. They were like, "Hey, we had someone say that, you know, you don't get many artists in Wellington, and this is our first time here, and we love it." So that was cool. But yeah, they I realized afterwards they technically didn't answer my question, because I asked, like, you know, how did you navigate that landscape, aka, like, you know, how did that come about? But they mostly just told the story of, like, what happened, which is fine, because, you know, it was, you know, I just wanted an excuse to hear about, like, how that all came to be. But they shared the story of, you know, how those drive-in concerts and stuff, and that was really cool. And yeah, Q&A was fine, and then more people started arriving. A couple of people came late, which I feel bad for, because the only negative, and even then I would say it's negative, it's not the band's fault, I don't know who's at fault at all, but the information regarding the early entry, I couldn't find it anywhere. I got 4 emails from both Ticketmaster and, like, I guess straight from the band as well, basically saying, like, hey, here's the rundown. And they all said, like, the normal door opening time, the show start time, the intermission and stuff, but they didn't have any information about, like, the VIP early access. And I remembered, you know, if I didn't remember, or if some people didn't know, like, I don't know where the information was. Like, it wasn't on the email, it wasn't even on the events. Like, if you went onto the event to buy tickets, which you still could on the day, because, you know, they didn't sell out or anything. Michael Fowler said it's huge, but they didn't have the early access information, and I felt so bad. I hate to think that there are people that did buy the more expensive tickets to get the early Q&A, and then forgot what time it was when they bought the tickets, and then, you know, the day rolled around and none of the emails mentioned it. There was one that I got that did. It actually mentioned the early access VIP, but it didn't give a time. So what I did is I called Michael Fowler Centre. Well, first I emailed Ticketmaster, and then I thought, oh, I better call just in case. So I called, and then I got a reply to the email, and they both said, you know, 5 p.m. Sorry, 5 a.m. That's ridiculously early access. But anyway, all that to say, Q&A was cool. Then the show itself was exactly what I'd hoped for. It was a lot of fun and very wholesome, like a real nice community feel, you know? Honestly, makes a nice change of pace from some of like the rough concerts you go to, like in Spark Arena up in Auckland and stuff. Not to say I don't love those as well, but it's just very different vibe. And of course, being a seated venue, you know, sometimes they get you to sit down for a quiet song, but you know, most people were still standing up and having a boogie in that. Kind of like when I went to see Kaylee Bell in Palmerston North. You know, it was a seated venue, but people, you know, you get up and stand and have a little dance and stuff. But the show was very fun. To start with, I was actually quite worried because I have light sensitive eyes, which just, you know, means I'm not too good when it comes to bright lights, and it hasn't like affected me in years. Probably since I used to do stage shows like 9 years ago, where, you know, you got the lights right in your eyes. But as the concert started, the first song, they had these really bright beams right like in your eye line, and I legit couldn't see anything. Like I couldn't look at the stage, and I was worried. Oh no, what if it's like that the whole time? Thankfully, that was the only 2 songs at the start that had those particular lights, and you know the rest of the time was fine. But it was a lot of fun. People were like, there were people in the crowd getting emotional because they talked about like how they've created this new movie about their family, you know, their family story. And it was overall just a really, really nice time. And I learned a lot about them, obviously, going in, you know, only knew 2 songs. They didn't play Ceasefire, which I know I already mentioned. I hate to think it's because of, like, you know, what's going on in the world at the moment. They thought it wouldn't be appropriate to perform that song because, you know, you don't know how people react to it. I hope that's not why. I hope it's just because, you know, it wasn't on an album. It was like a non-album single, because that is such an amazing song. But obviously, Joy was the highlight of the night. The last song they played before coming back on at the end to do the Christmas song encore. Overall, fantastic. And I remember wondering going into it, I'm like, I wonder how they're going to do the intermission. And it was awesome because they did about 9 songs. And then one of the brothers came out and they sat and they talked at length about Tear Fund. Pretty sure that's what it's called. And basically used the opportunity, and as he said, this is how we're using our platform, because I mean, you know, when you've got a crowd full of people, why not? Basically, did the, you know, the full on, hey, here's these children in Uganda and stuff, and one of those, like you know what I'm talking about, you know, where it's like, here's these less privileged people, you can sponsor them, sort of thing, and they were like, hey, if you do sign up, perform, and you know, you donate and stuff, we'll give you a free CD and a tote bag just to say thanks, sort of thing. And heaps of people, like the ushers and stuff that were walking around, ran out of tote bags and CDs because so many people were sponsoring, and they told this wonderful story about how this one person that was sponsored by a 14-year-old girl somewhere in America, like, went on to become a successful business person. I can't remember if they were a doctor or something in the machine industry, but the point was, it was like one of those things where, like, you know, from small beginnings, anything can happen. And it was wonderful. And even, like, these young people were, you know, putting their hands up, like kids, like, yeah, I want to sponsor someone. And it's just one of those things where, like, obviously you see the ads popping up on the internet, and every now and then there's the people with buckets, you know, standing on the side of the street, but it's so easy to walk past them, but to actually be confronted by it there, I thought that was very cool, a very responsible way of using their platform, I suppose. So it was just nice. And that's when they did the intermission, so heaps of people, you know, signing up and donating and stuff, so that was truly wonderful. And then the second half began, and it was amazing. You know, there's only so much I can say when it comes to live concerts other than, like, it was good, or, you know, this was bad. But yeah, the crowd was nice. You know, so many families and people of all ages there. It was just really, really nice community. And obviously, the elephant in the room, I guess, that I just forgot to mention earlier is, you know, technically they're a Christian pop duo. So, you know, you expect the wholesome vibes. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful, very nice feeling, just very, very cool to feel connected in a way. There are some bands and artists that you go to where, you know, they do try and, you know, form a connection with their crowd when they're performing. And then there are others where it's just like every person for themselves moshing away, and someone like me who doesn't like mosh pits is just standing there like, help, I just want to enjoy the music. But yes, here I was hoping to make a short video without rambling, and I've gone and rambled off for 9 minutes at this point. So I'm going to try and wrap it up now. The only, again, like, thing that you could be misconstrued as negative, it was kind of just random, were, before the Q&A, the music that was playing, you know, while you were waiting, they played Thunder by Imagine Dragons on repeat probably by mistake, but it played 9 times, I counted, before the Q&A happened. So you're just sitting there listening to Thunder. And then there must have been technical difficulties for the intro of the show, because they had this, long droning, it was like a droning sound that was probably like a piano note. And obviously something had gone wrong, because it was just that droning sound for minutes and minutes and minutes. And I checked the time, and by the time the lights went down, it had been 7 minutes. Like, the crowd cheered a couple of times, then they started cheering again, and then basically everyone just started yakking to each other and talking until the actual show started. And then, again, not the worst thing in the world, but it's just something worth noting. And thus concludes the road to For King and Country. I have my nice shirt. It was very cool. I didn't get the CDs that were not on special, that were on sale there, because there's one that's already like in my cart, in my wish list from Australia, that I might get, one day. And then the other one was the movie soundtrack, which is yet to be released. And that was the one they were giving away for people that donated. And I thought about it, but they're not sealed, and I like my sealed CDs, because, I'm a CD collector, in case it wasn't obvious. And one of the brothers was even talking about that as well, like, oh yeah, back in the day I had CD collectors, yeah, physical media. I'm like, yeah, physical media, as if you can't tell. So a massive thank you to Joel and Luke for coming back to New Zealand, and coming to Wellington especially, and the band. Oh, I'd be remiss again if I didn't mention the band. They had like 4 drum kits, 1 full kit, 1 semi kit, like percussion, and just 4 different drum kits on stage, and they had brass instruments, and they brought out the old giant bass and violin, probably a cello. It was almost like a full orchestra contained to about 10 people, but they were nice. They introduced every single member of the band and, like, talked them up, like, yeah, and that's something, some bands don't bother doing that, but I know Florence does, from Florence and the Machine. So this is quite similar. It's like they were all multi-instrumentalists, because the lady was on the violin, and she'd go back to the drums, and someone was on the keys, and they'd literally swap and change during a song, and it was just cool. There was so many of them on stage, and it was just awesome. It was so awesome. It was very fun. So thank you very, very much for watching. The next Road 2 is the complete opposite end of the spectrum of this. This concert I went to, For King and Country, was the bands, as I mentioned at the start, that I knew the least amount of songs for, which was 2. The next band I'm going to see in July, I only know 1. It's Tenacious D. I don't even like the band, if I'm being honest, but I love Jack Black. I admire Jack Black greatly, and the tickets were cheap, and it's in Wellington. So I figure I'll go see them, and hopefully they'll do some songs from Kung Fu Panda or something. Thank you very much for watching. I apologize for rambling for like another 10 minutes at the end of this video. Much love. God bless. Have a great day.